What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Big E Show. I'm your host, Eric Mika. Today, I'm joined by co-host Morgan Keenan.
Howdy.
Who's my friend, doubles as a cousin.
Nice.
I don't know which one I'm supposed to say first.
That's the better order.
That's the better order. Apparently, I've learned that this week. And then, most importantly, our guest, Liam O'Brien from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and a current player on the Utah Hockey Club. They call him Spicy Tuna.
Yeah, that's what they're calling me.
That's
what they're calling me these days.
I talked about this actually on another episode. I can't remember who it was. I think it was with Tony Finau. That's not just a name you come up with yourself. It's funny when people do. Like, people do try and pull that off. Like, oh, yeah, just call me this. It's like, no, you can't do that. This was given to you by a teammate.
I mean, the best nicknames are always nicknames that were given to you by somebody else.
Those are the ones that stick.
Yeah,
You can't pull it off any other way.
No. And so it was kind of one of those nicknames. It just kind of it came actually. Tuna was the first one, and my teammate Nick Schmaltz, his brother, added the spicy part. He's like big on Twitter, and he's just a funny guy. He's kind of a comedian, and so he's the guy that like kind of made it Spicy Tuna, and then all the boys loved it, and it just kind of skyrocketed.
It's a great tuna. Like, I just think, I don't know if you guys watch The Office. I know
that's what I was thinking.
Tuna, yeah, like
Office reference,
big tuna.
because that was a nickname in The Office. Originally, yeah, I believe it was. It was either that or there's a movie, Blow. It's got Johnny Depp in it.
Okay.
Big Tuna, the big guy.
That's so great. That's a great nickname.
So I think it's one of those two. It comes from one of those two.
Yeah.
It was a teammate of mine, Nate Schmidt. He plays in Florida, and he came up with it. He's a funny guy, so he came in the room flying. He's energy guy. Just, oh, there's the big tuna, and then it just kind of like took off.
Yeah.
The coach started calling me it, and
did you fight it, or you just kind of accepted it as your name?
I didn't love it at first, actually. No,
Yeah.
but
There's
then,
no fighting the big tuna, though.
But then it just took off.
That's
it
actually
just took
funny.
off, and the coach was calling me Tuna. And at that point, you're just kind of like, okay, I got to accept this and just ride with it. I was a young kid at the time, too. I think I was only 20 years old. So
Yeah.
When you find a nickname, that only like makes it stick more.
Yeah.
Like, if people know you don't like it, I feel like,
Oh,
no,
100%.
You're doomed.
Yeah, that's 100%.
So
I just need to put a nickname that I want people to call me. I just need to be, I wish nobody called me this. I hate it.
Exactly.
I need to get a better nickname. I don't have any. Big E, I guess.
Big E's good.
You were Mac for a while. This guy he's Morgan.
Yeah.
Went by Mac for a
Yeah.
bit.
I like that one though. It didn't stick. Now I don't go by it anymore.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
We just call you Mo.
Mo's easy.
Mo's good. We got Mo, Big E, and Big Tune. I think that's good. Well, that was a drawn-out introduction. Thanks for being on the show. I didn't even thank you for being here. It's good to have you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. What we do here is we jump right into rapid fire. It's going to piggyback off of things that we were just talking about before we got all set up. So they should already kind of be churning in your mind. I think I promised listeners that I wouldn't bring this up because I brought it up with like the last 6 guests, but it fits you so well. I have to, because I think you'll give a definitive answer, and that is, I've asked everyone, and I just don't want to use it over and over, but this one I'm telling you I need to. Would you rather fight one shack-sized chicken or 50 chicken-sized shacks? Because your answer matters, and will be the definitive.
Shack-sized chicken or 50 shack-sized
Chicken-sized shacks.
Yeah.
So little 50 mini shacks running around about this big,
man.
or just one big one. Imagine me plus 4 inches and like
Right,
100 pounds.
You
I'm
keep
just
arguing
gonna
like you're the same size as Shaq. Like, I'm almost as big as Shaq. I'm like, I feel like there's a difference.
No, I say that because I've met Shaq and I was like, oh, he's not that much bigger than me.
He's got like 100 pounds.
Yeah,
on you.
for sure weight,
Yeah,
but
okay,
like
maybe a
height.
few
Yeah,
inches. Okay.
I'm emphasizing the height.
Okay.
The height is close. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, big tree, fall hard.
Yeah.
Probably just take on the big boy.
I like that.
That's what I think. People usually go with the 50.
Yeah.
I
You
feel like
got 50.
focusing on one thing would be easy.
I agree. I think I flip flop every single time, but
You just
now I
agree with
really
whoever,
agree.
yeah.
No, now I really agree.
Chickens kind of have skinny legs too.
Yeah, and
so.
you just focus on one. You have one task at hand.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you give good perspective because you're squaring up with people, and this time it's just a
They're
giant
not,
chicken.
I mean,
They're
some of them are
shack-sized?
big, but they're not shack sized. But put Shaq on skates, I think I got a pretty good shot.
Yeah, seriously, I doubt that guy could skate. I can't skate, so obviously Shaq can't. I keep alluding to how similar me and Shaq are.
He can do a lot of things.
That's
like,
true.
He's sneaky.
He's like, man, he's just everywhere. And when I ran into him, it was in Vegas. His son was on my team, and I ran into him outside the gym, and I was just, for some reason, felt like the need to call him Shaq Daddy. Like, never met this guy. I was like, "What's up, Shaq Daddy?" I'm like embarrassed to say it, and he was like, "What's up, man?" But like, he knew who I was. I only like was that bold because I knew he knew who I was.
Right.
Because his son had told me like, "Oh yeah, dude, my dad watches our games and like says he loves how you play." And so I had an idea, and I was wearing all like team gear, so I'm like, I think he knows, right? But then like, for some reason, that was like the one thing he said to my son. He like shook my son like shook his whole finger, you know, like, and then he was like, "You'll see me everywhere, all right, kid?" And then just like bounced.
That's what he said.
Yeah. He's like, "All right, see you later. You'll see me around,"
Okay.
like something like that. And I was like, it is true.
Yeah.
The guy's everywhere.
Him and Dwayne the Rock Johnson are just
Everywhere.
doing
Everywhere.
everything. I don't know how those guys do it, but props to them.
It's exhausting. I don't know if I've really ever loved a rock movie either. Maybe Moana.
Well, Shaq's funny because he's not. Shaq's not like in movies. He just like buys companies.
Yeah.
Like he's in the general commercials.
Yeah.
He's like in HP printers for.
He's
some
like a big
reason.
franchise guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just see him like in ads and like cutouts everywhere.
Yeah, he's got so much money. All right, well, that's the answer then. It's
And
just
he's a DJ.
Right.
DJ Diesel.
Diesel.
DJ.
Yeah, I heard his shows are actually pretty fun. I mean, he's a big boy, so he makes everything fun. All right, that's the definitive answer. One Shack size chicken. All right, are there any ridiculous or crazy pregame superstitions that you've ever seen, or that maybe you have yourself?
That I've ever seen.
For some reason, I feel like hockey would be primed for this, but I don't know.
There's this guy I played against. His name was Curtis Gabriel. He had some of the craziest pregame stuff. I think one time I was like sitting on the bench, and he's like getting ready. Like he used to just visualize all the time, but I just remember him like on the bench running into like the glass or like between the benches, like pretending to like body check it. And I'm sitting there, and he was like a fighter too. He's a tough dude. And I'm just like, what's going on over there? Like he's like running into the glass, like body checking it. Like he's like really getting into it. And I'm like, wow, that is next level visualization. Like this guy's ready to go. So I would say that's probably some of the craziest one.
And that was like a steady routine. He's doing that before a lot of games.
Just a guy I played against. I just think that's just the way he prepared. And,
Yeah.
Did it work? Like, did you feel like?
I mean, he played in the NHL. I think he's retired now.
But he's in your head, like, because he's
he in my head?
Yeah, he's the enforcer. You're the enforcer, and now we know, like, in your head, you're going, wow, like that's next level enforcing. He's getting ready. Like
he wasn't. I don't think he was doing it to intimidate me. I think he was like.
That's what you think.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing it for, but he's, you know, like he, you know, I don't know. It didn't scare me, but he's a tough dude, and he did the job. So
yeah, that's fine.
I got respect for him.
All right, keeping with the fighting. Next question is there someone that you would love to fight on the ice? Like anyone in the world?
Somebody that's off the ice that I would love to fight on the ice. I mean, right now, after watching last night's boxing event.
Here we go.
Easy.
Here we go.
100% Jake
Okay,
Paul.
so we kind of talked about this before the episode, and you said I wouldn't mind sharing my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts? Like, would you? That's not even a fair fight. I mean, on the ice, right? You're just gonna whoop his ass.
You know, I just think it's. I don't think I wouldn't even say. I don't know if he can skate.
Right.
Right.
I don't know if he can skate. I know a guy that played in our league. He actually called him out to box him. Vander Kane. He called him out. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Like sometime during COVID. This is when he first started fighting influencers. So he called him out.
Fighting influencers and old people, geriatrics.
Yeah, like watching that fight last night, it just was sad. You know, it just didn't make sense at all.
No,
I don't understand how. You know, I understand like the money was big and stuff, but you feel bad for real boxers that go out there and train and put all that effort in and put their health on the line.
right.
Like if you watch the fights before those fights,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Scrapping.
like you look at the cuts on those girls' faces, and
From the headbutts.
There's some big scraps. Serrano, she I think she got robbed, but
So does the whole world, right?
no, her and Katie had a great fight. And I think without that fight, that whole card was probably, would have been trash.
Right.
I think that fight was,
Right.
thank God for that fight. I think Jake should be donating half his purse to those two girls right now because they made that card worthwhile for those people that showed up and watched. So it's just sad, and Mike Tyson's a legend, and like props to him for being 58 years old and being willing to like get in the ring, but just wasn't necessary.
No.
We didn't need to see that.
No, it's like half the reactions on Twitter like took the words right out of my mouth. They're just like, I psych myself into these things. I've watched like all of his fights, and why do I like? Why am I'm part of the problem, right? Because like for some reason I think it's gonna be like entertaining, and then first of all it's lagged by like hours, so I'm like seeing results online, and then like I'm still not on my TV, but then I'm like, why? This isn't entertaining. This is sad. Mike Tyson's got his shorts like up above his belly button, like he looks like he should be in a retirement home, and he's out getting punched by this guy who's like in his prime, on steroids. It's kind of lame. So the question is, could you fight? If you fought him, who wins? I'm gonna go off the ice because I think on the ice it's obvious.
Me and Jake Paul off the ice.
Could you take him off the ice?
Jake Paul's I don't want to take anything away from Jake Paul as a boxer. Like I think he is a good boxer. I think he obviously needs to just pick boxers. He needs to fight boxers. And I think enough with like all these like money fights. Like if you're gonna, he always says, "Oh, I take this sport seriously," and blah blah blah. Okay, well, if you take it so seriously, fight boxers.
Yeah, right.
Fight.
Make it a real career.
Fight. Like put your health on the line.
Yeah, right.
Because those other fighters, those boxers that were fighting that night, they take that sport serious. They were fighting guys that they could lose to.
Right.
So if you're gonna box, fight someone that you could lose to.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think he's fought a couple guys that maybe he could have lost that fight, but you can tell he's kind of handpicking guys, and he's got the money to do it. But hey, if you're gonna take the sport seriously, then take the sport seriously.
Yeah, that's a good take. All right, well, shifting gear, we're gonna get back to fighting because it's just the most intriguing thing to me ever, how much fighting goes on in hockey. But going back to hockey and to the Utah Hockey Club, because that's the name of your squad right now.
Yeah.
Have you seen? I mean, kind of in limbo. I guess I have read that it is still an option to stay as the team name. I don't really love that one. Have you seen the other ones?
I've seen the other ones. Yeah.
You've seen the voting. I think the top 6 are Blizzard, Mammoth, Outlaws, Venom, Yeti. Do you have a preference? If you were Ryan,
I don't really have a preference, honestly. I like our jerseys. I like the
jerseys
colors.
are cool.
I like the color scheme.
Yeah.
I think everything is super clean. Like even the everything in our dressing room and all that stuff. It's all like super clean. So
yeah.
I don't really, it doesn't, whatever way we go.
It's the wrong answer.
Yeah,
the only answer is Mammoth. It's Mammoth.
That's what I think. Mammoth is so cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeti just feels tough because that's already the Avalanche's mascot.
Yep.
So why are you going to rip that off? Mammoth makes sense because it has a connection to Utah. Like there's so many mammoth bones found in Utah. It's like a cool mascot, cool logo.
Outlaws, Venom just remind me of like flag football team names. Blizzard, Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen?
It's Mammoth.
Blizzard, Dairy Queen.
It's Mammoth.
I agree.
Just by brand association, man. I just won too many Blizzards.
I think there's the thing with Mammoth is I think there's a lacrosse team.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Is that the Denver team?
Yeah.
The indoor. Yeah.
Mammoth.
The Mammoth.
We can't have anything.
Mammoths. Yeah, but like it's almost like it's time we as sports fans, I'm declaring this now, come together and just get the right names in the right places. Like the Jazz.
I think about the Jazz all the time.
Let's be the Raptors because
dude, I was going to bring this up today because I think about it all the time.
Talk about it. You seem passionate about it.
The Jazz makes no sense.
Well,
Obviously, it's brought in from the New Orleans team.
Yeah, it's history because the team got moved. Whatever.
There's no Utah history with Jazz at all.
No.
But there is a Utah history with Raptors.
Yeah, and
there's tons of dinosaur bones. There's a dinosaur monument in Utah.
It's all about bones here, baby.
Yeah. I just don't get why.
Yeah, and
the
then
Jazz
give New Orleans the Jazz. The Lakers go back to Minnesota because wasn't it like the Minneapolis
yeah.
Lakers? Like we just need like
what's Toronto going to be called?
You tell me. You lived in Toronto. You lived in the melting pot.
Toronto. I don't know. Toronto. Trying to think. Toronto traffic, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. That actually sounds kind of good. It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Toronto traffic and just. No, I don't know. I just think that maybe the only like baseball makes sense, but NFL, I don't know. NFL, NBA, and NHL, like we need to switch on. We need to mix it up.
Yeah.
The Jazz.
Jazz are bad.
Jazz are bad. Or let's
Bad
be
name.
or like the Bees.
I like the
baseball
Jazz's
team got it right.
jerseys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
For sure.
think it's
Their branding is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah.
name is kind of goofy.
Yeah.
It looks weird up against the mountain.
The highlighter yellow. You missed that era, but
Oh,
those
yeah.
were pretty bad.
That was painful.
Have you ever seen those?
No, I haven't seen those
It's
ones.
I mean it's highlighter yellow and then just black Utah.
Really?
Yeah. It was just, they were going for something different. I think it was right when Ryan bought the team.
Yeah, he was trying to do something new.
He was actually, from my understanding, maybe this isn't exactly how it worked out, but I think he was trying to get black and white. Like he wanted to be black and white, but they wouldn't let him because
Spurs?
No, because I think Brooklyn and Spurs, like they already had too many, but black and white would have been nice.
Yeah.
And so somehow it ended up being highlighter yellow and black.
Right.
So that's close. All right. Well, we naturally got into hooping. Last rapid fire is who's the greatest Canadian basketball player of all time, other than Nate Darling?
Oh, great question.
Our mutual friend.
Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an easy pick.
That's
There are some really good players in the league right now,
Shea's
but
killing it.
they have a lot to do to make up for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nash though, 2
Nash is-
MVPs.
He's the, I think he's the king when it comes to basketball in Canada.
Yeah.
Still, he could be replaced. I think basketball in Canada has grown so much.
For
and
sure.
Did you watch much growing up? Were you a Raptors fan or like a Grizzlies fan when they were in Vancouver?
I watched like a little bit of basketball when I was younger, like when I was playing, but then like just hockey just took over.
over.
And so I didn't continue and kind of gave up my basketball dream once I realized I wasn't going to be taller than 6'1". But
So you're a quitter.
Yeah, I was a quitter. Yeah.
Well, I actually quit hockey after one day. I couldn't
You
skate.
played?
I mean, I was like 6 and I couldn't skate. I was with a cone the whole practice, like a traffic cone to learn how to skate. And
You
I
were
was
holding
like,
on to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Was
no,
that your mom's or your dad idea? Or
No, Alec, my older brother, he played a little bit. He was too soft though, so he quit. Shout out to you, Alec. He's gonna be pissed. But so I was like, I want to play. My older brother plays. But then I was on the traffic cone the whole practice, and I was just a little kid, and so
yeah.
I should have never quit. I would have been maybe a little tall though.
Yeah.
There's 6'9", 6'10" guys, but you never actually quit basketball though. Now that I'm talking, I'm thinking
The guys that like, there's tons of guys that are. We got like Zdeno Chera. Chera was almost 7 feet, I think. He played
Wow.
a long time too.
yeah.
We got a guy on our team right now, Maverick Lammer. I think he's 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah, and you
There
said
was a guy in the
he's a good
Bruins
jump.
for a few years. I think Shar was his last
Chara,
name.
yeah.
He was
Zdeno
like
Chara,
6'11". He was
yeah,
huge.
that's the guy I was just talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just recently retired. They have another guy in Boston now, Nikita Zadorov. I think he's like 6'7". There's a lot of defensemen. Like, you
Yeah,
would have been
that-
a good D-man.
that was my question, yeah.
Stay-at-home D-man.
Yeah.
A lot of defensemen that are above like 6'4" to like 6'9".
Why is that an advantage when, in my mind, I'm thinking, wouldn't they all just be a little bit slower? Like, what does – because in basketball, it's like you are a little bit slower. Usually the big guys are, but it's okay. They can touch the rim flat-footed, so there's some advantage. But, like, what advantage is there in hockey if you're tall?
You take up space, one. So
Yeah.
I think like blocking shots, it's hard for someone to get the puck through somebody that's bigger.
Yeah,
And then also like battles, like just that strength.
sure.
In hockey, like you have a stick, and so the taller you are, the longer your stick is, the more reach you have. So I find that plays, that helps a lot of those guys out. It's just like, and like boxing out and like the toughness of the sport.
More height, you can carry more weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That makes sense. I should have never quit.
I didn't know there was like a
You
hockey.
might have been a player.
I didn't know there
I
was a
wasn't
hockey
in
stick-
basketball, so
hockey stick length that's proportional to your height. So
Yeah,
if
is
you're
that-
taller, you have a longer stick. I
that's a
didn't know
rule.
No,
Because-
so everybody uses different height stick. Like everybody cuts their stick at a different length.
Okay,
So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
some guys, want their stick all the way up to their nose. Some guys to their chin. Some guys use really small sticks. They'll go up to like maybe their chest. Some guys like to the top of their head. It just really depends on more or less like what you grew up doing, what your position is. I think plays a big part. Like defensemen usually have longer sticks.
Yeah, right.
But there are defensemen that have small sticks too because they just feel more comfortable with a smaller stick. But back in the day, definitely like a lot of the defensemen were pushed to use like longer sticks. That's changed a little bit. Me, I think my stick, I usually have it like here, like right on my bottom lip. So like pretty normal.
Yeah. You never quit basketball. I said you were a quitter. I was joking. I apologize.
I didn't quit. I just wasn't good enough.
There we go. Basketball quit on you. You told us you played in the league, though. Was that when you were in Toronto? Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we kind of cut you off because I want to hear it now.
I think it was grade 6, 7. I was living in Toronto. Toronto's got pretty good basketball. That's where majority of the guys come out of. And I lived in a city outside Toronto. It's called Mississauga.
Oh, yeah, I've been to Mississauga.
Predominantly.
That's where the G League team is.
Yeah, predominantly. There's a lot of there's a really strong Filipino community there. And they had their own league. They love basketball.
Yeah.
And so they were allowed, in the league, you're allowed to have 2 import players
It's amazing.
per team. And it was like a big league, too.
I mean,
like
this is how professional leagues work overseas. Like, you're only allowed so many foreigners.
Yeah, like imports, right?
This was
Yeah.
legit.
And
They
that's
were
like
only
a
allowed-
big decision. You're only allowed 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're only
So
allowed
you
2
were like
imports.
An
top
honor
pick for them.
even.
So I
Yeah.
played on the school team, and so majority of my teammates are all Filipino, and so they were like, I guess they were going home and being like, hey, like we need to bring Liam in as one of our imports for the team. And so the coach, and I was playing hockey. It's the same season, right?
Yeah, right.
So the coach calls my dad, says, hey, like would Liam be interested in playing like basketball for our team? And I was like, hell yeah, like that'd be awesome. Like, but like if I have a hockey game, like I have to go to the hockey game. Like I can't come play the basketball game. So they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. They're like, we'll work around it. We just want him to be there for like a certain amount of games. So yeah, that whole season and a bit, I was like playing for the team, and it was a really cool experience. I think just culturally too, you know, after the game, just being able to like try all their food and and it was just a really cool experience for my family too, like for my parents. And
What position did you play?
I was a power forward.
Cool.
Power forward, yeah. So
Who was the other import?
I think I was
LeBron James.
I think I was actually the only import that year.
They only
I was the only
needed
guy
one.
they brought in. I was the only guy they brought in.
That's so funny.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun,
That's sick.
and I miss it, to be honest.
That is cool.
I love basketball.
That you know, as wild of a, you know, career I had and all the places, you know, I told you all the places that I played, like it is cool, like looking back. And I think the thing that my wife and I, you know, my wife too, because she was with me the whole time except for China, but was you just being exposed to that many different people. And so you doing that at a young age, like it's cool. You look back and you're like, wow, like you just see everything a little bit differently when you're in situations like that. I mean, I definitely look at things differently after living in China for 6 weeks, right as COVID was happening. That's a different place. But
Oh, that's prime time to be in China.
Filipinos, man, they do love hoop. There's when I was in Italy, because I lived there for 2 years before I played there for 2 years. There's a lot of Filipinos in Italy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like maybe not all of Italy, but like central, like around Rome, and they're always playing basketball. Because like you walk around Italy and Europe in general, right? Like there's just soccer fields everywhere. Like especially like the smaller ones where it's kind of like futsal. I don't know, 5-on-5 or you would know.
Yeah.
There's not like basketball courts like you have here at Parks. They have soccer courts, but when there were, it was like always Filipinos that were playing. So they do love it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like in Toronto, like where I'm from in Halifax, Nova Scotia, so we would just play street hockey all the time. Then I moved to Toronto, and I was the only hockey player in my whole school.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, well, me and my siblings, of course, they were hockey players too. But like when we would leave school and hang out, like we'd be playing basketball. So I was always playing basketball in the street when I lived in Toronto, and it was great. I think it was great for me too and my athleticism, and
For sure.
I think like I don't think you should just be like a one sport athlete
No.
when you're a kid. I think
No.
you should try as many sports as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a million books on it now. It's so funny because like where I went to high school, and Utah County, I think, is for some reason like a big culprit of this. Like parents are like trying to get their kids to focus and dominate one sport from like a really young age. Like my business partner, he trains kids all ages, and then like just on the side for fun because he loves it, and he also coaches like a travel basketball team that's 6th grade. He's telling me about like some of these experiences with parents, not necessarily on his team, but just around the leagues, and it's crazy. Like they're like banking on their sons make it to the NBA, and I'm like, is he gonna be 6'8", like, or 6'10"? Like, can he jump out of the gym? Like, you just don't know. And there's burnout, there's repeat injuries. There's so many things that studies show. Like, you got to play other sports. You have to diversify it, or else you're just not gonna hate it. Like,
Yeah.
you're just stuck playing one sport.
For you, Liam, though, it's interesting because like the Canadian Hockey League has their own system where you get drafted like pretty young, right? So you're drafted when you're like 16 into like the Quebec League. So like from then on, are you hockey all the time, or do you still do schooling? Like, how does that system work?
Yeah, well, so basically what happens is at 15 years old, you have to make a decision of, well, not anymore because they just changed the rules like
I did see that.
a
Yeah.
week ago, which is nuts. But when I was coming up, at 15 years old, I had to make the decision between, am I going to go play in college in the U.S. somewhere? So I was visiting schools. I visited, a lot of the, like BU, BC, Harvard, North Dakota, like a lot of the hockey schools. I visited a lot of those places when I was 15 years old, seeing whether or not, like, am I going to go to college or am I going to go play in that
Right.
junior league?
Yeah.
Which is a really tough decision. Like, you're 15 years old, you know nothing.
Right.
You know nothing.
And
So
college would still be like 3 years away.
Yeah,
So it's
seriously.
like play next year or play 3 years down the line.
So now, like, you can go play in the junior league, and then when you're 18 or 19 years old, you can be like, well, I feel like going to college now.
Oh,
And you can go
yeah.
play college in the U.S., which I think is unbelievable for these
way
guys.
better. Is that
Gives
because
them-
of the NIL developments and stuff that is now allowed, or what motivated that switch?
I don't know. I think they just changed the rules. It might have had an influence on it, but they changed that rule. I think it was like a week ago, and I think it's great. I think, a lot of guys that I grew up with, they had their junior career. The junior career ends at the age of 20. You can't play above the age of 20. 20 is your last year in that junior league. And so after that, they have to go play university in Canada. University in Canada isn't heavily scouted. It's a high level of hockey, but it's just you don't see a lot of guys like coming out of there getting contracts. There are guys that have done it, but not enough. And so what this does now is let's say this kid is 20 years old. He's had a good junior career. Now he's going to get the opportunity to go play college for another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And potentially come out of college and sign in a pro contract. So I think it's great that they get this extended time to develop.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of being
and
punished
hold
for
on- and-
chasing like
yeah,
your dream.
instead of being
right.
punished for chasing their dream at like 16 years old and wanting to play junior, whether it be in their hometown or
Right.
So
you
going back to your decision, how did you make that decision to do the junior track rather than go to college?
Yeah, at 15, to your point, you were like, you have no idea what's going on in life. So what
Yeah.
did push you?
I physically thought that I was ready for junior. Like physically, I was always like, I was in good shape, and I thought I was ready to like compete against, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So I just felt I was ready. I was wrong. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it. 16, 17, I didn't.
Tough years.
Really tough years in my life, and but I don't regret it. I think the adversity kind of helped me get to where I am now, and so I'm grateful for those years.
Do you think your track would have been different had you like maybe gone to college? Because you made it to the NHL. I'm surprised you're saying that the first couple of years were tough.
I still made. I can't say that I regret it because like I said, it got me here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it forced me to get uncomfortable, and it forced me to dig deep and learn some new tools that I think have helped me in professional hockey. So, yeah, I if I would have gone to college, I would have had a degree, and maybe that's that's nice, but I'm happy with how it all played out.
Cool.
Morgan's the only one at the
I
table
was just
with a
gonna- I was
degree.
thinking
So.
that. Somehow I'm the only one with the degree, but I'm making the least amount of money.
And you're the loser. He kind of brought this up, but NIL, like what I do for work involves NIL, and so I'm constantly talking about it and monitoring it. But because we don't have college teams here in Utah, hockey teams, that is. I don't know, is that a thing in hockey right now? Like I'm assuming the big players that have gotten drafted really high and been at the Michigans and the Minnesotas and the Boston schools that you mentioned, they're probably getting some type of deals. But is that trickling down to like everyone on the team? Do you have any idea how that's all working in hockey?
I've like heard that guys have been offered, in my opinion, like at that age, like a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys are making money.
Like what are we talking?
Like not to the same extent as like the football guys or
Right.
the basketball guys,
But like
or
hundreds of
even-
thousands.
But like hundreds of thousands.
Right.
So I've heard that. Now, do I know exactly how much guys? No, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know that there are like the top guys are being offered
Yeah.
money, and I think it's a good thing, for these. I think in hockey's a little bit different, but I think for football, for sure, I'm happy these guys are getting paid because like they just get injured so much.
Yeah.
Careers end all the time. So it'd be sad, it's. I think they deserve it, and makes a lot of money in this country.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's like, I mean, I think it's for every sport that makes money for the university. It's like they should naturally get a piece of that. I'm bitter because I missed it, and I'm convinced I would have made so much money, but that's okay. But football guys, like, most likely you're not going to go play pro. Every sport you're not going to go play pro. And even hockey, you're saying now that the rule has changed, I mean, I wonder what you would have done.
A lot of the top hockey guys end up going and playing pro.
Yeah, right.
And our
In college, you're
our
saying.
second, like we have a lot of like really good hockey leagues where you can still make a really good living.
Mm-hmm.
So like even in the American League, there's guys that make a really good living playing in the American League their whole career, making between 2 to 5 guys make over $500,000 in that league.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can go over to Switzerland and make really good money, have a really good living. Russia, you can make a lot of money. And then you've got a lot of other leagues like Germany, Sweden, Finland, Czech, Slovakia, Austria, and you can go over and make a really good living in those leagues too. So I think a lot of those guys do end up being able to move on and make money
Mm-hmm.
playing the sport. Whereas in football, there's a lot of guys where after college it's
Yeah.
over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a CFL, but
They don't earn anything.
they don't earn
Yeah.
too much money, and the career isn't that long in the CFL either. In football, it's not a very long career. So I'm happy to see those guys getting compensated. I'm happy to see all of them getting compensated, but definitely for sure the football guys.
Yeah, no, that's a good perspective. But even what you were saying, I mean, it would have been enticing, I think, for guys in your position, right, to go to college, not just for the degree, but I mean, if you're one of the top guys and then you go to college and you're earning the whole time, and then you have a chance to go play pro, it's like you can take that risk too, right? Like, and same with football guys, like if you're not going to make the NFL or at least a practice team, like because there aren't other options, it's kind of like, all right, you're done playing football, right? But if you are healthy and earned a couple $100,000 or even $1 million while you're in college, then you feel comfortable to like, yeah, I'm going to stick it out for like 2-3 years in the CFL or in the XFL or on the practice team. It just kind of lengthens people's, timeline to be able to go chase their dream, which I think is an important piece that can't be overlooked, right?
Yeah, and I think for those guys too, like you grow up, you're you're a football player, and then all of a sudden that stops, right? Like that's your identity,
Right.
And so I think it's difficult. You know, it's a difficult. I haven't experienced it yet. You know, I want to keep playing as long as I can, but
You'll be the LeBron James, somehow 40 and the best player in the league.
Yeah.
I hate to keep referencing him today, but it's top of mind, I guess.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, what's it like? Let's shift to now. What's it been like for you moving to Utah? Like I mean, that had to be kind of crazy for the team to come here, but then you as an individual, like, what's it been like? You know, you had obviously the WWE like intro to the crowd that, you know, everybody loved you and the name stuck for the whole state. But like, what have the past 8 months been like for you?
Yeah, no, well, obviously, you know, having a daughter within all of that too, it was
Can't miss that.
pretty crazy, like
Yeah.
the move and everything, but it was smooth. Everything was really smooth. I'm lucky, you know, I'm fortunate, you know, to be able to play in the NHL. You know, I wake up every day and I'm grateful for what I have, and I think I'm just really excited to be here. We've been treated really, really well. The organization's been top notch, and the guys are super happy here. And we're like I said before, like we're treated really well, and
That's cool.
it's a beautiful place. Like I was driving down here from Sandy, and you're just looking in the mountains. You get the snow, and it's gorgeous. So it's.
Had you been to Utah before or knew anything about it before coming here?
I'd been here one time. Yeah, one time.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
for?
It was for
A fight.
of UFC fights. Yeah,
Oh, really?
UFC fights.
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say one of your
Yeah.
fights.
No.
He just came to kick somebody's
Yeah,
ass.
UFC fights. Yeah.
Okay, so you
Was that the-
fight
And
out.
so
That
I
was the one we
remember we were here, and we were watching those fights, and at that time, Salt Lake City was a spot where it was like could be an expansion team.
Right.
Right.
We didn't know that like
Right.
It'd be you guys.
like
maybe.
9 months later we'd be
Right.
moving here.
Yeah.
So it was cool that like I'd already been in the Delta Center. You know, I'd seen like how crazy the crowd was.
Yeah, the passion
I'd
for
been
sports.
up to Park City.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool that I.
For
had
some
already
reason,
been
you
here.
felt the urge to look for houses in Sandy. I'm on Zillow looking at Sandy and Draper. Like, if I did ever move here, that's funny.
Yeah.
So Morgan and I were kind of talking about this before, and a question I wanted to ask you was, not the dog on the Jazz. Like I love the Jazz, and I love Danny, and I think he knows what he's doing. I know he knows what he's doing, but like they're in a tough spot right now, and it just feels like the NBA it's just so hard to win in the NBA. Like you don't just have teams kind of successfully rebuild and become something and then win a championship, right? It feels like you have the same couple teams, the same couple main characters that are winning. And so for a smaller market, because that's what we are considered, it's hard to do, right? Like Milwaukee did it, and they got super, super lucky with Giannis, right? Like you just don't find those guys. I think he wasn't even a lottery pick. Like he was like 17 or something like that, right? And no one even expected him to develop into anything. They just got him because he had some intangibles, and we're like, let's see what happens. It's hard to do in the NBA, especially with how the lottery is structured. It kind of feels like to me, not knowing much about how it all works and being a very, very low level understanding of hockey, but it feels like we have some potential here. Like we're not considered a small market like we are in the NBA. Is that fair to say? Like, do we have like
100%.
what does it take? What is it going to take, and how primed are we to be successful here in Utah? Because we have the backing of, you know, a great owner and all these things that you're talking about. You're treated well. You have a good fan base. Like, I like to think we have a chance to build something here, right?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I think hockey's a little bit different. I think in the NBA, yeah, like you said, there's always guys that are gravitating towards certain markets,
Right.
certain cities.
Miami, LA,
New York.
New York,
Yeah,
maybe
the
Toronto.
same big cities people want to go to.
Yeah, kind of like the
That
four
doesn't
corners.
exist as much in hockey.
Hockey, it's different. I mean, I don't think guys care as much about that. I don't think that. I just don't think, especially veteran guys, I don't think they care as much for that. Now there are guys that go somewhere, they play there, and they say, "I really like playing here. I'd love to stay here." And yeah, I get that, but I think just the way that we're treated here and how good our ownership is, like it's a really attractive place. And I think teams coming in are impressed, like just from talking to some players that play on other teams that I know personally. And, it's a beautiful place. And so I think there's definitely potential. If you look at our team, we're a very young team.
Right.
But we have a lot of talent, a lot of really good players. We have a lot of really good players that aren't even playing for us yet. Just because we've had so many draft picks in the last, few years from our rebuild. And we have even more draft picks in the coming years
Just
too,
stocked up, yeah.
to make moves. So
Yeah.
and we've got cap space still, and so the organization is in a really healthy spot.
Yeah.
And I think for sure, like you said, like I think we're heading in the right direction.
That's cool. Us basketball players, we're dumb, so everybody has to talk to us in basketball terms. And so someone was helping me understand like what it meant getting this team and who we were, as you guys shifted from Arizona. And they're like, we're kind of like OKC was a couple years ago. Do you think that's fair? Like a couple young guys, but like the right culture, a bunch of picks, right? So you have assets in the coming drafts. And
I would say that's pretty bang on. Yeah.
well, I don't even remember who it was. I wish I could. I should have just said I thought of it. Damn
That's
it.
your idea.
Yeah. It was just me. I was just thinking about it. But okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I've been to one game and it was fun. It'll be interesting. Do you know what are the plans for the stadium? Because obviously you have that like wall on either side of the goals right now because the Delta Center isn't adapted with the seats yet. And so, do you know, are they working on that?
It's a 2-summer part renovation.
Okay.
So this summer they're going to be renovating one side of the arena to make those seats usable for people still sit there, but to make them where you can see the whole rink.
Yeah.
So they're doing that this summer on one side.
It's important to do.
And then and then on the others, they're doing the other side the following summer.
It's like there's a great Twitter account, or maybe it's Instagram. I always say Twitter, it's X, whatever. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's both. This guy just actively seeks out the worst seats in sports. He'll just go sit behind like columns, like in the baseball stadium, or like some random like corner that had to be, whittled in there, and he'll just like sit there by himself in a singular seat. So we have a couple of those at our stadium that obviously they got to work out. But yeah, I had a ton of fun at the game, so I'm excited to have you guys here. I was in Vegas the last 2 years, so I went to a bunch of Knights games, grew up going to Bruins games, and so I'm not like a hockey diehard yet, but like now that there's a team here, I absolutely will be. So it's fun to have you guys here. You will be in the history books for Utah Hockey Club because I think you got in the first fight. Is that right?
I was in the first fight, but it was preseason.
That
so
doesn't matter.
It's funny because Sean Dursey's he's a defenseman on our team.
Yeah.
He told me, he's like, I'm getting the first fight. He's like, I'm getting the first fight. And I said, hey, buddy, go ahead. Like, it's all you. He's like, I'm getting the first fight. And like he fights, like he's willing to fight, but he's not like fighting all the time.
Yeah, but this is like a historic moment that he can jump on.
So I got the first fight, I guess, at Delta Center. It was in preseason. But he got the first like regular season fight, and he was bleeding. He was pumping the crowd.
That's so awesome.
I loved it. It was awesome. So he hey, listen, he put it out there in the universe, and he made it happen.
Morgan, when we talked about what we wanted to ask you about, fighting obviously was a topic we wanted to touch on because again, I just think it's the best part about hockey. It's incredible that you guys fight, and we have a fighter here. Apparently, he watched like 20 of your fights the last couple days.
Have you heard of hockeyfights.com?
Yeah, I know hockey fights. Yeah.
So basically,
where do you think he studies his opponents?
so basically, for people who don't know, this website, the NHL, to what I understand, like don't keep track of fight statistics as like a stat you can look up. But hockeyfights.com is where like hockey fans upload all the fights that every player's in. They upload videos. They like ask the people on the internet like rank the fight and like rank who won. So I was looking at your hockeyfights.com profile. Have you ever looked at it?
I've looked at it before. Yeah.
So each
I've been on
individual
there.
player,
They get like a score.
they have each individual fight gets a score based
Oh,
on
okay.
like the user.
Like the
you've got-
clicks
You've got,
and-
like,
yeah.
you've got guys who are like subscribed to the Hockey Fights account,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And they go on there.
So do you know what your top fights are? Do you have a guess? There's 5 top fights here. So
I've
one
probably got I've got some good ones from like when I was in the minors. I would say a lot of my best fights are from the minors. I had a couple good ones in the NHL, but I think for me like some of my best ones are in the minors.
the number 1 was from 2014 against England.
Derek Englund, yeah.
Do you remember that fight?
Yeah, so that was my first year in the league. I was 20 years old at that time,
Dang.
and Derek
Young scrapper.
Derek was like a pretty well-known tough guy.
Yeah.
And I asked him to go. He obliged. And we had a good fight. It was a good fight.
So is there like a ritual or is there like kind of a set of manners to starting a fight? Because like you said,
He obliged.
you asked him to fight.
yeah,
and
no,
he says-
I asked him to fight. I think I don't know. I'm not sure, but I believe we might have been like losing the game. Oh, there was like an icing. Me and him kind of like got in a bit of a scuffle, and I was like, "Hey, like, let's do this. You want one?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And then all of a sudden, yeah, like, shed the mitts, and there
So
we go.
what's like your go-to strategy within a fight? Because there's all these different approaches I've seen from watching a lot of videos.
He doesn't. When he does something, he studies it. This is an engineer we're dealing with. He's not just like.
Do you have an approach? Do you have a tactic?
There's
Do
an
you have
approach.
like
Depends who you fight.
Yeah.
It depends how big the guy is too. So I think sometimes when I fight a bigger guy, I don't want him. I need to be able to get inside. I need to get in tight because
He's going to use his length.
reach is a big thing in a hockey fight, and if he's able to string me out, then I'm not able to connect.
Yeah.
So when I fight a big guy, I know I have to get in tight, or else I'm in trouble. When I fight somebody my size, then the tactic kind of changes a little bit, probably a little bit more active off of the start,
Mm-hmm.
maybe less defensive, just because maybe I have the reach advantage, which doesn't happen very often. There's not a lot of guys that I fight where I have the reach advantage,
Right.
unfortunately.
Well, I noticed that all your fights, at least that I saw, the 20 of them or so, you're fighting a bigger guy. Like you're going after guys who are like known fighters.
Yeah,
Is that just what happens, or is that kind of a mentality like, oh, like I need to like amp my team up, so I'm gonna go after their big dog to kind of like get things going?
Yeah, and I want to piggyback back off of that because like, how do you like go into the game like thinking I'll probably fight when I'm in? Like, do you juice yourself up for that every single night by skating into the wall or whatever that one guy did? like, do you think about it, or is it like it's just kind of second nature? Like, no, this is a lull in our team's energy, or somebody on my team just got blasted and I got to get their back. Like, how much is it strategy versus just like, no, we're not getting bullied?
I think there's certain teams like, and that's the big thing is the bullying thing is like I don't want our team to be getting bullied around.
Right.
That's when I know my job's to step in.
Yeah.
I would say that yes, there's games that I go into where I know that there's a high percentage chance that I'm going to fight.
That's
but like
terrifying.
it's not all the time.
Yeah.
There's games that I go into where I'm like, they don't got anybody over there,
Yeah.
and when they don't got anybody over there, then I can run around a little bit. And
Yeah.
that's what I think our job is to be a presence too, of like, okay, well, Liam's over there, like, he'd fight me if I did something stupid,
Right.
So it's to kind of police the game and to just keep guys safe and
Mm-hmm.
keep the game safer. I know it doesn't look like we're keeping the game safer
Right. Yeah. It seems a
'Cause
little
we're-
backwards.
because we're
Hammering each other.
because of the violence, but it does, and it has an impact.
You gotta
It
spend
has
money to
an
make money, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta fight to keep away from the violence.
But,
No, and my question is like, when you put it that way, like I totally agree because I was watching BYU's basketball game before we started this, and they're playing a team that they should be beating, and it's kind of a close game. There's not much energy, and I'm like, this is where like other sports need a fight, like some injection of energy and adrenaline, because like we shouldn't be losing to this team. But if I go, start something with somebody, then like the team always reacts. You know what I mean? Like it happens in basketball as it is right now, because some guy gets in somebody's face, you get a technical. But I'm like, I think we need to level up. Let's just start fighting in basketball too.
I would love to see it.
That would be electric.
That would be electric. It would be electric.
If you some of these big guys like
with their
watching them go to toe to toe.
Yeah, can you imagine like Embiid versus Jokic? Like with their wings. No, Gobert is getting
Gobert
blasted.
Would get picked on.
Unfortunately he would get blasted. But like Embiid and Jokic that are both like 300 pounds, 7'3" wingspan.
Who's the basketball guy's MMA guy?
Oh,
Steven Adams. I know a lot of people think are like it's really tough.
No, he's an animal, but it's James Johnson.
James Johnson.
James
the guy who actually
he has like 16 knockouts or something, or he's 16 and 0. He's 16 and 0 in MMA.
He'd be the heavyweight champion.
He's the one that like you'll see videos where like guys on the opposing team like he's literally like the equivalent, right, of the enforcer, where like somebody's getting in someone's face, and then they like I've seen a video where they like turned and saw he was there, and then he just like backed up. Like you don't want to get choked out by this guy like on a basketball, because really like you got a lot of fake tough guys out there on the basketball court.
Have you been on a team or in a game where a fight broke out?
Like an actual like fist fight?
Yeah.
No. I got in one in lacrosse, but that was like it was fake. It was we had helmets and gloves still on, because it's not like you're used to the you make it almost sound like poetic. You're like asking them politely. He obliged.
Sometimes it's poetic. Sometimes it's not poetic.
Yeah.
It just depends the situation. I like fighting when I have a reason to fight. I don't like fighting when I don't have a reason to fight.
Yeah.
When you're not emotionally engaged, I find I have a hard time fighting when I'm not emotionally engaged. And then when I'm emotionally engaged, or there's a reason, and that switch goes off by itself without me having to turn that switch on.
Right.
It's a lot easier that way.
You mentioned that the one fight that we were talking about, like there was some chirping going on like during the icing break. Like does that have like that just slowly builds into it, or like is there some pretty non-aggressive like smack talk during hockey as well? I feel like
I say some crazy stuff.
Like what's the craziest thing you've ever said?
I can't say it on here. I say some crazy stuff. Nothing that crosses obviously the line. I know how to like kind of toe that line. I've said some crazy stuff. Like, you guys can look it up. Like, it's on the internet. Some of it I got caught on a hot mic last year or the year before.
Yeah.
So I've gotten hot mic'd a couple times. Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah, but I think it's a really that's part of the game. It's an emotional game. It's physical, and you want to get under your opponent's skin.
Yeah.
And that's something that gets me engaged into the game too.
Yeah.
I find.
What's the go-to you feel like in hockey? Like in basketball, there's just like kind of the standard, like everyone kind of chirps at guys for their shot, like they have a broke shot or whatever. Or like if you drop them, someone gets their ankles broken, that's an obvious one. But like there's definitely like recurring themes. What's like the go-to hockey one that just stings when someone says it to you? Is it like going after how you look, how you play, like a skill? Like what is it that?
There's so many things in hockey.
Give me a go-to. Give me a go-to. I want to hear.
I mean, like guys will be like, oh, like you're an effing plug, or like you're yeah, I'd say plug's probably the one that's thrown around the most.
Plug.
Yeah, plug's probably thrown around. There's other ones I can't say them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we appreciate it. There are women and children listening.
Yeah. I don't want to cross the line.
Okay, is there another sport that needs fighting, like basketball does, or that you would love to, that would be as electric as basketball?
Fighting.
F1 racing, maybe.
They fight though. They get angry.
Yeah, they actually
throw
do.
Their helmets at each other. Fighting in another sport. Probably like rugby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, those guys they're tough. Those are tough guys.
Yeah.
They make for some good fighting. Well, I'll introduce you to my brother-in-law. He's an ex-rugby player. He seems to get into fights all the time.
Yeah.
random people on the street.
The whole game itself feels like a fight. Like they're just heading to the hospital after every game. Those guys, they're animals.
They're animals. Rugby's a crazy sport. I can't imagine. Do you feel like fighting was always part of your game, or do you feel like you kind of grew into that? Like, do they have that? Is that allowed in the junior leagues?
Yeah. So my first fight was when I was 16.
Because I know your first NHL game you got in a fight. Was your first junior league game also, or pretty early on you got in a fight?
Preseason.
No way,
Preseason,
wow.
yeah. Preseason when I was 16, I got in my first fight. I was in like another town. We were playing against a team. I think it was maybe my second or third game in preseason. And I'll never forget, like, there was a line brawl. Like, a line brawl broke out. And back in that day, like, in preseason, there's always fights.
Yeah.
There's always fights. Like, everybody's trying to prove something,
Yeah.
right? So a line brawl breaks out. I'm on the ice. And then all of a sudden I get in this fight, and I'm fighting this guy. He's kind of got long hair. I had short hair at the time, but this guy had hair like me. And I just remember I'm holding on to this guy's hair, and I'm punching him in the face. And I'm just like, and then I like, and then I get out of it, and I'm like, oh my God, like that was like the craziest adrenaline ever.
Let's do it again.
Sat in the box for my 5 minutes and a couple stick taps, and
That's amazing.
and that year I only fought another 2 times, and then from then on I started fighting more as I got older.
I've heard stories of where these fights break out in these kind of youth teams where it's multiple players going after each other, and it gets so bad. I don't remember what team it was. I think
Locker boxing, it's called.
I don't know about that. What I was going to say is they turn off the lights. Like
Yeah,
there's no physical way to stop the fight.
So everybody puts on their helmets. So when you're young, you wear a cage.
Okay.
So you put on your helmet, you have the cage
Right.
or the bubble, and you have your gloves on, and then I guess they're like shutting off the lights, and then everybody's just swinging at each other, which I think is crazy.
It makes it even more
Which is
dangerous.
crazy.
So, like
You don't know
now
what you're doing.
now you can't
But
see.
when I was in Pee Wee, I'll never forget it. I had this kid, and he was bullying me. He's a big kid. He's this big Italian kid, chubby.
Just gotta throw that
I
in
hate
there.
this guy. I hated this guy. Anyways,
to this
he
day.
was a lot bigger than me. And so what we would do is I'd always challenge him. Like, I always, like, come back at him. So we'd throw on the helmet, the cage, the gloves, and we would just go toe-to-toe in the locker room in front of all the guys.
No way.
Yeah.
So is that what you mean?
I think we did it, like, I think we had 2 of those that year.
That's
You were
so
saying
funny.
they're locker boxing. That's what they call when they turn the lights off, or is that when they let?
That's when
they
you
let
guys just fight in the locker room.
before?
Yeah, locker room. It's just like figure things out amongst teammates, I guess. Or
Yeah.
if like somebody's, or some guys just do it for fun. I don't think I was doing it for fun. I was doing it because I didn't actually like the guy.
More like organizations need that. Like not like just the fighting
We don't
game.
do
Like
that
I'm
at the
saying.
pro level.
No. Right. But like just things in general. And like I'm saying, let's throw it in corporate America too. Like just pull out the gloves. I actually have heard of NBA teams that have done that. They'll have like a couple sets of gloves for like, conditioning, right? Every once in a while you get like a boxing workout. But like I have heard from like direct sources that when there were issues in the locker room, like guys will just throw on the gloves and the little helmet and just box in the locker room and just kind of get that out.
That makes sense. Just let it out.
Yeah, but it just is precarious when you're dealing with guys on $1 million contracts. Like
Yeah, you injure a teammate.
Yeah, it gets a little bit scary. Like
Yeah.
you break a hand
There's
punching your
certain
teammate in the
guys-
face, and then you're in trouble.
There's certain guys I don't think that owners would be too happy if they were doing that.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly.
We have practice fights, so like it'll happen every once in a while. Not saying like I wouldn't even say like every year, but where just 2 guys kind of get pissed off and go at it, or most of the time it's one of those things where it's almost to the point where they're about to go at it, and then
Right.
guys are smart enough to like step in
Diffuse
and be like,
it,
"Hey,
yeah.
like, come on, like
Right,
let's
right.
chill out." But I had when I was 16, I had two fights in practice when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you're.
Well, I'm just thinking like,
Yeah. And then I haven't had one since. So after those, I got those.
You
out of
learned
the
your
way,
lesson.
and- Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking, like I said, all the parents in Utah County are crazy for forcing sports down their throats. But while we're talking about fighting, all I can think about is my son JoJo, just like getting tougher because I need him to get in fights in hockey. Like, it's legendary. I think it's the coolest thing about your sport.
Even with junior hockey, though, it's crazy because you have these 16-year-olds playing and potentially fighting with like these 20-year-olds.
Yeah,
That
that's a
age
good
gap's
point.
like a huge growth in that age gap. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's big development.
That happens.
That's
It's part of the growing.
That's just the way I dealt with, like, when I was getting bullied. That's just how I dealt with it. Was just fighting. Yeah.
No, that's
I
crazy.
had red hair, right? So, like, growing up with red hair, I was getting called a ginger, fire crotch,
Right.
all these different things, right? Had no soul.
That one really got me.
That's just, like, it doesn't bother me now that I'm an adult, but I guess when I was a kid, it bothered me, so that's how I deal with it.
Just as long as they don't say plug.
Yeah, don't call me. Yeah, don't call me plug.
They call you if they said you had no soul,
What's that?
it doesn't matter. You'll take that
I
one.
don't. You know what? When people chirp me now, I just laugh. I just smile. I think that's the best way to react.
For sure.
Is just smile at them. I usually have something to come back with too.
Yeah, you just can't say it now.
No, I can't say it right now.
Really
Well, like the stuff I say out
There we
there is usually,
pertains to the game.
yeah, or to that individual.
Mm.
Like maybe I know something about them, and I know how to, like, kind of, but it doesn't happen too often.
You're talking about like inside, like something you're not
I'm
supposed to
cutting
know.
deep. I'm cutting deep.
Eric's told me stories about he would learn languages to
Yeah.
talk trash to players.
Yeah,
on
I
the free
did.
throw line.
I did learn.
Tree, wasn't it?
Yeah, twee or tree. It's like the
Good name.
dialect from Ghana. Yeah. Learned like a couple phrases there. I mean, everywhere I'd go, like I speak Italian, so like I could do it in Italian. I told the guy I'd kill him in Italian. I'm actually ashamed to say that, but this guy was so dirty. We were on the road, and it was one of those things where like they were outmatched at my position. Like I was a tough matchup for him, and so they just put like the dirty local guy that like they figured could throw me off my game, and like I just kind of quit because he was hitting me in the back and elbowing me and aiming for places that you don't like to get hit. And there was this one where like I kind of like I shot like a floater and then just kind of was like drifting out of bounds watching it, but like totally unprotected. This is like as the ball's going through the hoop, and this guy like just runs out of nowhere full speed. Like I watched the film later, just drills me in the back, just blindsides me, like hits me to the ground, like which is not allowed, right? No foul, anything like that. And then I chased him down. I like Draymond Green, just like what he does on a daily basis. I like beelined, took him to the like, basically tackled him back. He's on the ground. I like stood over him, and in Italian, I'm like, "I'll kill you if you touch me again." And
What did he say?
No, he didn't say anything. I mean, what do you say? The guy says it in your own language.
Right,
Like
that's
he couldn't believe it. But yeah, like Italy, German. I just spoke. Everyone just speaks English there, so I didn't even need to learn German. Serbia, I learned a little bit, like enough to say the mean
Did you
things.
pick up any Chinese, like fighting words?
No, Chinese was that's a tough language. So that's the language I needed to speak because everywhere they go, they have like interpreters or everyone speaks English. But in China, it was like they drop a play for 5 minutes in Chinese, and then I'd be waiting for the translation, and then the timeout was over. So they're like, just play hard, rebound. But yeah, China almost got in a fight. They play pretty dirty over there, and Germany, man, I still remember one time I got blindsided again on like a tag, so somebody's sitting there weak side, and as I'm rolling, like this guy like hit me right in the gut with it, like drilled me, and I'm rolling hard and get hit by that. Wind gets knocked out of me, and I went up to ref, like nothing crazy, I was just like, hey, like that guy's, you can't do that. Like, how did you not see that? Like simple. And the guy's right there, and he's German, and this is like my third game in Germany. And he's like, "Welcome to the BBL. That's the name of the league." And I was like, "Get out of here, bro!" I was like, that was the corniest thing I've ever heard. Welcome to the BBL. I was like, "This isn't a Disney movie, dude. Like, get out of here."
There's times where I get chirped where I'm like, you got me,
Yeah.
You got me.
Oh, for sure.
But like, yeah, that's not.
No.
That's not.
No, but like that that's the response though, right? Or else they're just gonna keep going at you. Like when you say something that you know is funny or you know should cut deep, and then they laugh, it's like, all right, they get a pass. It's like, I'll leave this guy alone. So that's the only response, and that's normally what I do. But stupid stuff like that, like welcome to the BVL, I'm like, dude, you are the corniest person I've ever met. Well, that's it for us. Liam, it was good time having you on here, man. I learned a lot about fighting for one, and the intricacies of hockey, and we didn't even really touch on your path, right? Other than the junior league, like, has not been typical. There's been tons of ups and downs. I'm sure in our episode that will air on Friday, you'll touch on that as you talk about specifically that journey. But really, really cool stuff. It's gonna be fun to follow you, and it's always nice when you know someone on the team. It's that much easier to cheer for them, and so we're excited to follow.
Yeah, no, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Yeah. All right, Liam. Well, before you go, we want to make sure that we gave a special shout out to our friends at Roan. They are the sponsor of the goodie bag giveaway that we do with our guests, and we're very grateful for them because they got some really nice stuff. Got a jacket for you. Got your sizes. We know you're a big,
Appreciate
strong guy, so
nice
we got the right sizes. But
really
I mean,
nice
super comfortable stuff. I wear it every single day. There's your pants too.
Awesome, thank you.
I tried them on; they were too short for me, so I guess we'll let you keep them. So we just want to shout out Roan and thank you again for sponsoring the show. What's up, everybody? I just want to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors. That is Andar Leather Goods. These guys are the best of the best. We're giving one of their bags to each of our first 10 guests here on the Big E Show, and it's been an exciting partnership. I've had one of their bags forever. We bought it as a backpack, turned into a diaper bag, but it just speaks to the versatility of their products. They have bags, backpacks, duffel bags, wallets, phone cases. I mean, anything and everything you can imagine that is leather, and it's the very, very best quality. So make sure you go check them out in my profile. We got a little discount code in there for you. What's up, everybody? Have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Serenoni Blankets. They are the best of the best. We're very excited for this partnership and grateful that they are providing our awesome guests with their amazing blankets. It's starting to get a little bit cold here in Utah where I'm filming, where I'm recording these episodes. And so there's no better time to go check out Serenoni. We're going to have a link in our bio. Make sure you do that because they really are the best of the best. What's up, everybody? This message comes from Roan, high performance apparel that moves you. Building mental fitness is vital to everyone's success on or off the court. This was a big thing for me while I was playing. Unfortunately, I feel like it took too long to figure it out, but when I did, there was a huge difference in my play on the court and my life off the court. That's why Roan has partnered with the NBA, Kevin Love, and the Kevin Love Fund to open up discussion and enable action around mental health. Find out more about how Roan is getting every head in the game at roan.com/mental fitness. That's Roan, RHONE.com/mental fitness, and get your head in the game as well. Roan, forever forward.